friends. I'm Deanna and you're listening to the Well and Worthy Life podcast. I'm a certified health coach, and my goal is to help you become the best version of yourself. I've done a lot of things in my life before I found my way here. I've been a saleswoman, a fitness instructor, a business owner, and a mother to 3 boys, and now a grandmother to a beautiful baby girl. Now I'm just trying to live my best life, and I want to share my experience and strategies to help you do the same. That means talking about your physical health, mental health, spiritual health, and everything in between. Let's find the way to your best life together. Welcome back to another episode of Well and Worthy Life. Thank you so much for joining me, y'all. I just love hearing from you, and I love hearing that you love this podcast. It really warms my heart because that's really why I started this. And so today I've got a special treat for you. My friend, Lindsay Peirce, is joining us. And Lindsay and I go way back to when she was just a baby. So anyway, but Lindsay and I met because she opened the first Pure Barre in Birmingham, Alabama. And I remember hearing about it. I was in my 40s. And she was in her 20s. And I heard that this great new workout place was coming to Birmingham, and I couldn't wait to get in the doors. And boy, I had no idea what was in store for me and how it changed my life and how Lindsay changed my life, actually. So anyway, I just want her to say hello to y'all, and she can tell you a little bit about herself, but she's a dear friend of mine. And we are going to talk about life, women, helping women, and what is coming for Lindsay, because Lindsay's got some exciting things happening. So Lindsay, welcome to the show. Thank you for the episode, the podcast, whatever we call it.
I know, right? I love it. This is so exciting, Deanna. You're so amazing for doing this, really.
You know, I just can't help but think that my life took a different turn once I walked in the doors of Pure Barre.
For sure.
You know, I remember walking in that day, and everything about the Pure Barre exercise clicked for me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I've needed. Yeah. I loved it. And then when I met you and Danielle, I was just like, oh my gosh, those girls are babies. And I think it really changed when, I know you probably remember this, I came to both of y'all. I was like, okay, this is the business, because I had been recently divorced for the second time, and I was wanting to have a business. I needed a business. And so I remember thinking, well, I could do this and be the silent partner. You know, I'll be the investor. So I came to both of you and I said, hey, when y'all get ready to open up another business, another Pure Barre, I want to be the investor. And now y'all had just opened this one, right?
It was like 2 months in. We were fresh. We didn't even have, the ink wasn't even wet on the contracts. And you were like, we were like, another one? But I think also too, that probably just opened our eyes to be like, oh, okay, let's expand. But I think also you and my other current partner, who's your best friend, Jody, for another studio, we saw that you loved it so much. And also too, that I think it almost too gave us kind of wings, because we were like, oh, they like this. They like it as much as we do. Okay, this is good feedback from people that have been in Birmingham for a while, and you kind of drink the Kool-Aid and you drink it real fast. And then, then we owned a business together.
Isn't that crazy? So, but let's go back. I want to go back just a minute, because how old were you when you opened up Pure Barre?
Gosh, I was 24.
Okay. So, and Danielle was what, 23?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what in the world were y'all doing opening up a Pure Barre studio at those ages?
I know. It is kind of odd if you think about it, but I think what we were doing, we were both married at the time, super young. We had met at Sanford, which is a school right there in Birmingham, and we met our freshman year, but we both stayed best friends throughout college, and we were kind of in the same season of life, being married, and then figuring out really what we wanted to do. Our majors really weren't leading us to any place specific. So I feel like that's story of everyone's life. But, we kind of really, honestly, if you want me to be honest, we actually just started praying and we started meeting like at specific times at a coffee shop and just writing down stuff, almost like journaling, but journaling together. And then there was this one weekend where we were both going on family trips and we were like, let's just pray and let's just be really honest about how we kind of want to move forward with whatever's stirring like in our spirit. And we wrote down very similar verses that entire weekend, which we just felt was a sign. And then we both went and got yoga certified, actually, which a lot of people don't even know. And we started teaching yoga around. And then right at the coffee shop across the street was a space. And that's actually where our studio still is today. And we just were like, what if we just went and we like started getting some clothes and then we taught yoga in this little space across the street. So we went and met the real estate agent. And then, not even a year later, we ended up putting Pure Barre there.
Golly.
I know, it really is.
Do you think you had a goal when you're young at that point. What do you think?
Our biggest goal is we were actually working out at that time at the YMCA, which nothing against YMCAs, it was awesome. You know what I mean? You can do so much in that one space, that one gym. But I think we were going to this gym and we were feeling uncomfortable. We were in our young 20s and we felt like all of the women were like staring at us. So we really started to anchor about, our intention around creating a space where like women can come and feel comfortable. Because if we were feeling uncomfortable and we were in shape and we were healthy and we were active, we couldn't imagine maybe someone that was just trying to get back into that regime, or someone that was trying to start eating healthier, or like someone that was maybe a good bit older and wanted to start, So we kind of just wanted to pray. We started praying for a space where women could just come and feel comfortable. And that was kind of the common vein that we kept throughout our whole like praying session until really Pure Barre kind of came about. That was our mission, really, is to have a space where women felt comfortable. And I think that studio is so rooted and the studio is still doing so phenomenal. And because I think of that foundation, that's why it's still thriving, if you want me to be honest. I think people pick up certain stereotypes of whatever they think is in there, but I can promise you with our team and with the sturdy foundation that we've created, I think once people come in and they feel that energy, kind of like you said, 20 years older than us. And that's what we wanted. We wanted women to come in and be like, something's different about this place, and it still is to this day, luckily.
Yeah, it really is, even through COVID, right?
Yeah.
But, that's it. I think you guys were just, seemed very wise beyond your years. And I love that you prayed about it, because I don't think a lot of people do that. I don't think a lot of people, especially at that young of an age, when life hasn't really maybe had dealt some blows at a younger age, but not really, not like they have at this age, right?
We hit the economy too. This is when everything had crashed. So, we're bringing to our families, we're about to open up our studio, and they're like, what is happening? So yeah, I think that was the sturdiest foundation we both had, was just like our faith at that point, which is kind of wild to think about, just because I think about the different seasons looking back on us at that age. We didn't really know also too. I think the naivety was like a beautiful thing for us at that age, because we didn't think that we could fail. Or we didn't know like what it would look like to fail, like have a failing business. Like if you think about it now, sometimes when I think about like rent and like paying my employees and money coming in and money going out, all of that was not even in my head.
Right.
And it was like the beauty of it, because it was just like really clear intention. And that's just kind of what we splayed out, So, I'm so grateful for that. And I'm so grateful for my business with you. I think that was huge. And I think we learned a lot from that experience. And then I have a studio down here in Florida where I currently am. So, I think.
Well, I can't not tell the story about how you and Danielle really changed my life, because I think that that's a really important part of how you have inspired me and everything. So guys, I have to tell this story. So it was, once I said I wanted to own, they were like, no, we're not interested in opening up another one right now, but why don't you become an instructor? And I was like, what? Now, at this point, I was 44, 45, and it had always been my dream to teach aerobics or, do some sort of fitness. But my ex-husband had never wanted me to do anything like that. So I kind of had stifled that. And by the time I was in my 40s, I thought it was really too late. I was very closed-minded at that point in my life. And so when y'all said that to me and believed in me, I was like, well, let's go and try this.
Let's do it.
I did. And I think that's really when I stepped into who I was called to be more, because I realized that I loved helping women. And when I was teaching Pure Barre, my favorite part was at the very end when you stretch everybody else out. And, we used to be able to touch people. Right. Remember those days? So anyway, so that really changed my life. And then, a few months later, we ended up opening up the studio out 280 together and became business partners. And gosh, I learned from you even more during that time because, as you always, whatever business you have, you're going to have employee problems and different things like that. And again, you just seemed wiser beyond your years. It's just crazy to me.
I mean, I think it was just so cool how you're put in our lives. I remember the day that you came in. I literally remember the day you came into Birmingham. You're like, what are all these clothes? Because we had Lululemon, because we had basically brainwashed Lululemon. Not really, but we were for 3 months, we wrote them consistently almost every single day. And finally, they let us have an account. And they were Birmingham, Alabama. But then once we started ordering wholesale, we brought it to the state. So that was a pretty incredible thing. But you're like, what are all these clothes and this technique? You were like a little Tasmanian devil up front. Throwing them on the desk. I want to buy this. I want to buy this. But no, I think the same thing also. I think when we were guided to do things and make people reach outside their comfort zone, I mean, just like with anything else, that's kind of when you said it beautifully, you kind of stepped into your own. I think for so long, maybe you thought you couldn't do it because someone was telling you that you couldn't. And I think that that's the beautiful part about it is that usually when you're kind of uncomfortable, that's kind of when you grow.
Yep. Isn't that the truth? When you are, or when you go through bad things in life and things happen in life. I mean, which kind of brings me to, but there's a lot in between there, y'all, a lot in between there. But so you've gone through some hard times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surely have. Yeah. I mean, so the past, oh my gosh, so it's going to be 3 years in August that I have been divorced, which is wild because I was married for almost 10 years. So, I mean, and you knew my ex-husband as well. So, I mean, I think, I think I'm at a point now, catch me 6 months ago, I actually think that the COVID and the lockdown was a really healing spot for me because I was able to live down here in Florida. I've been back home. I'm from here. So I've been back here for almost a year, but that 6 months allowed me just to stay put. And I didn't travel back and forth to Birmingham to my business up there and back here. It actually allowed me to heal a little bit and to process some of the stuff I'm needing to process for a really long time. And I think divorce is so layered. And I know that you've been through it a couple of times, but I think your first time was pretty difficult because, you had a husband with 3 children. I don't have any children, but divorce it's not for the weak. I'm going to put it that way. I think grieving someone that's still alive is probably the most wild thing. And I deal with it every day.
Yeah.
Whenever you thought your road was going to go one way and it ended up going another way. So
I think that's the whole thing. So divorce looks different for everybody that gets divorced. But yeah, I would not wish divorce on my worst enemy. Sure. And I'm not a proponent of divorce, although I have been divorced twice, but it's a really hard thing. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you're grieving somebody that's still alive. And even if it's, it's funny because I always think, well, was it your choice to get divorced or was it his choice to get divorced? And truly, we know that probably it was both people in the long run. Even though I made the choice to divorce my ex-husband, actually both of them, but it was because there was lots of other stuff going on there that could not, I tried everything. But I think that when you are grieving a life that you thought you were going to have, and it never stops. I've been divorced from my first husband, 2005. So it's been 15 years. And I always think, especially with having children, I always think, what would it have looked like when I just had my first grandchild a year ago? Like if we were sharing grandchildren together and all that. So that's it kind of, but I think you can figure out another life and maybe it is the better life for you. Who knows for sure.
Well, I think there's so many things anchored with divorce, especially I think it's connected with your spirituality as well. So for me, I was in a very shameful spot. I was super embarrassed that it didn't work out. And I never would have thought that this is how it ended out. I don't think anyone can imagine that, but the shame was what covered me for a really long time because I wanted to keep working at something that was already so far past the point of working out. And I think I was so not really super concerned with what everyone was thinking. It was more or less like, and that's what, like I was just telling you about the past 6 months, that's where I finally went so inward and I was like, oh, I'm the most embarrassed, like people really, that kind of comes and goes because it's not really their life, even though our relationship was pretty open and he had a big business in Birmingham, I did too. And we kind of did a huge chunk of our life together in Birmingham. And it was pretty social, our relationship was. So, it's just, I'm still going through the ups and downs of that and realizing what healing really means from it, because I really don't think that I ever will, because that was a huge part of my life that I gave him and I know that he gave me. So I think it's just this bitter sweet thing. But I was just in Birmingham, I saw you last week and I think Birmingham does something to me. I was there since I was 18. So for me to be there and then like kind of heal from what's been happening these past couple years, it's really difficult, but I think that's just new layers of healing. And I think that's the beauty of life and the different seasons. But no, divorce is an interesting beast. And I think that whenever I've spoken with other women that have gone through what I've gone through, it's so interesting to hear how, like I was just saying, those certain anchors, those are the things that we all feel. Shame was one of them. Embarrassment was one of them. Brokenheartedness. And then just waves of emotion. We're hormonal beings, let alone just what happens monthly to us. But I'm like, I think the waves where you can literally be completely fine and then all of a sudden you're just crying. And you're like, a weird song came on, or something that I'm learning about right now is triggers and what triggers actually are and how I can process those and how I can realize what they are so I can kind of move forward throughout my day and feel that feeling, process it, and keep moving forward. And that's kind of what have been interesting conversations with other women that I've had that are beautiful conversations too.
Yeah. And, that's the whole thing. I feel like, that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this podcast. Actually, I first started, with my blog, and I wanted to share my experiences because I feel like if you share your experiences, then you never know who you might help. And so through this podcast, that's what we hope to do too, because I think you hit shame. Yep. I remember feeling that. Yeah. And I remember feeling so many things. And I remember thinking, nobody knows what it's like. It's like somebody died, but nobody's bringing casseroles to your house, And
I think it's just, yeah. And there's like a really fine line between like grieving it and like, it's just so crazy if you think about it. Sometimes I feel that I know that I've processed it really well and that I pray about it and I put it in the right spot every day so I can keep moving forward and moving on from it. But sometimes if you just think about it, you're just like, heck, like
what happened? Yeah.
A whole different life. And it's just sad. I think that at the end of the day, you just look at it and you're just like, it's just sad. And like you said at the beginning, I agree. I think that if you get to that point in your marriage, and I think it is both the husband and the wife, and I think the only two that can get each other out of it and to stay in it, the husband and the wife have to agree to work on it together. So that's why divorce happens. So I think there's circumstances that prolong that, and there's circumstances that break one person or another more, but this has been, and like you said, I think that opening up and talking about it is it's not that even it's uncomfortable because I'm so comfortable with you, but I do want to talk to more women about it because I think it's so interesting. And I think to hear about their journey and then just like, it's almost like an unspoken like thing where you're just like, I know exactly what you're feeling, because it's so heavy, but then like, you're okay because that person isn't dead and it's not going to kill you, unfortunately, sometimes you might, but you have to keep moving forward. But there's so many layers to it and I'm still learning the different layers. But it's definitely heavy some days for sure.
Well, and even though you guys didn't have kids, I had kids that I always had to deal with him. But I'll tell you, whether it be finances, I know that can be tough. Or, the other thing is I know y'all had a lot of common friends together. Yeah. Like you said, very social together, which, with my ex-husband, this is awful to say, but we didn't have a ton of friends. I had more friends than he did. So I got invited more places. My world opened up a bit more but your world kind of shifted
a lot. It definitely did. And I think that whenever you're in your 20s and then you're married into your 30s, you kind of grow with those people, especially because our group of friends, none of our families lived in the city or the state, really. Well, the state, his family did live in the state. They still do live there. They're alive. But no, I'm saying I feel that you grow with your group of friends because they become your family. And that's been one thing that's been super difficult for me, even just to this day, that I actually miss, even though I'm close to my family now. That group of friends that was our crew. I mean, that was just people that I knew consistently that I was going to see throughout the week, that one, were going to challenge me, but also two, there's just really a nice safety blanket that comes with a group of friends because there's one, no expectation, there's consistency. And that's something now that I miss. I miss consistency and I miss relationships that are deep and that are easy also, so, and I think that's another mourning stage that I've been going through because there's some of his friends that were like really close to me that were like lived at our house that like I almost loved, but maybe that probably wasn't the healthiest thing. Looking back, you know what I mean? Like having like a guy be like a third wheel in our relationship, but that was like another security blanket. And those are relationships that I mourn still to this day. And that's not even touching on his whole family that I literally adored, So I think it's pretty wild. There's so, like I said, the elements to it, it's so rooted. Especially whenever you think that you're going to be with this person for forever. Heartbreak is probably, like you said, it's nothing that I would ever wish upon someone that I truly did not like because the brokenness that comes from it. I mean, I think brokenness does lead to like beautiful light and you're able to pick up your pieces and you get to decide. But that type of brokenness and mayhem that I felt within myself that I'm learning so much more, I would never wish that upon one person. I would never wish it. I was completely crazed within my own head. Mm-hmm. It was really sad. It was really sad. And there's certain times where I still feel that way, but I have different anchors in my life now that kind of ground me. But it was pretty wild. I mean, I couldn't even put pieces together. One email throughout a day, you would have thought I did 500 emails. My capacity was so much smaller to function, let alone with my 2 businesses. And I have 3 businesses full. So I wasn't able to fire on all cylinders. So it was really difficult. It was really scary, actually. And all I wanted was just, even though we weren't going to be together, and this is like vulnerable, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, but all I wanted for just that time that I lived in Birmingham was just like some type of like sweet closure, like where I almost expected maybe just God for us to bump us in together and for us just to be like, okay, and just to take an exhale. And that never really happened. And I don't know if it ever will, and I think I had like crazy wild dreams where I thought maybe he would come to me and just not be like, well, I wish he would say, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. But, like come to me and, we were able to maybe get on a little really level playing ground so we could just like move forward, because I think the beautiful thing about history is that it's already written. And I think that with what happened with our particular circumstances, people were wanting to rewrite what was already written. And our story was like beautiful. I think that it was like, when I look back on those times and I have pictures and stuff, I'm just like, that was so incredible. We didn't even know how amazing we had it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love how vulnerable you are. I think that is that is the thing. But I will tell you this from my own experience.
Tell me, Deanna.
Well, from my own experience, because look, mine was a very messy, messy divorce, my first one. And we ended up in court over and over and over and over. And I never thought we would ever, emails back and forth to each other. I mean, I just thought it was going to be horrible forever. And I can't say that we have a great relationship right now at all. We don't have anything to do with each other. I mean, and I do think that's sad when you've been married to somebody. We were married for 17 years. We have 3 children together and they've graduated high school, college. But we have done a few things together in the fact that when our middle son got married, it was at my house and he came. And I'm remarried. And so it was at mine and my husband's house. And he was very good. And the other day, our son had to have his appendix out last week. And I haven't texted him, called him or anything in oh gosh, years, I guess. And I texted him just to say, hey, he's out of surgery. Just want you to know. And he said, thank you. So, I mean, that was about as good a communication. But about 4 or 5 years after the divorce, it finally got to this point where we were okay. I mean, he didn't hate me anymore, and I didn't, have animosity towards him. It was all just like, and I think it's his way of protecting himself because he really hasn't moved on, unfortunately, which I hate it for him. And I have remarried and moved on with my life and have a great life. And I'm not saying he doesn't have a great life. He has a great life for him. And so I think it does get better with time. And you hear that, right?
It does say that. And I think whenever you're in a broken spot, you want to punch people in the face when they say that. Because they're like, just give it time. And you're like, one day seems like an eternity. And I'm like so sick. Like I'm just physically ill. But yeah, I mean, who knows? I think that's like in the Lord's hands. But I mean, really, you guys had kids to connect y'all, and my ex-husband and I don't. And even saying ex-husband's super weird. Ugh, I don't know. It's so strange. And I think that just comes with like the embarrassment. And just like you said, time will just kind of make all of that go away. But I think for so long, I was carrying all these different burdens and I didn't even realize that I was carrying them. I'm not like an angry person. I'm really not. If you know me, I'm not. And that was one thing that was giving me, I struggle a lot with anxiety, but my therapist, who was incredible throughout this entire divorce, was so amazing because I was having anger. Like I had so much anger and fear mixed together. I didn't know how to get it out. I'm already very active owning Pure Barre, but I was doing other stuff, but that wasn't fueling me. It was only not allowing me to piece things together to successfully execute, if that makes sense, my emotions. So I was just so depleted and I kept working out and I kept going on walks and then I would go to the gym. And then, I was trying to it was like that obsessive behavior, trying to, get all of that energy out. So at night I could finally maybe pass out and go to sleep, but I really wasn't able to. So fear and anger was something that was like really on my shoulders for a really long time. And once I started to piece myself together and, take a step back and inhale and exhale, I was able to realize what those feelings were and how intense they were. And I was able just to kind of let them go. And when I let them go, I was able to breathe like a little bit more, but now I'm dealing with different types of emotions. Now I'm just, like I told you, I'm just sad now. Not like it's so sad I'm crying anymore.
Right.
No, it's just if I give it some reflection in that sector of my life, like reflection, it just makes me sad, because it was so fun. And like, he was a huge part of my life and so was his family. And he made me, who I am moving forward. But it's just wild because I feel we're still dealing with some stuff, he and I are. So it's just a lot, Deanna. Divorce is wild. And and that's kind of what I want is to like reach out to women or women to find me so that are in the same, even if you're just a single mother, like I don't have children, but I feel like I can be compassionate towards having that on your plate as well as figuring out how to piece yourself back together, because health coaching school has definitely helped me do that since January.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So you've been health coaching, you're working on your health coaching certification and you've started seeing clients. That's awesome.
I have. Yeah. So I started that in January and I think I have you to thank for that. I literally talked to you like 2 days before I signed up because I was not ready in January. I was still in that, like I was saying, that broken spot, I just moved back to Florida. Even though I love it down here and I'm a Florida baby, born and raised, it wasn't Birmingham and it wasn't like my home, So I was trying to figure out what this new type or new season was. So you were just like, Lindsay, just sign up. And I feel most things that time, like that way, like if you're even not ready for something, that's probably when you need it the most. And since January 14th of this year, I've been going through school and it's probably helped me. I could get emotional, so much. Just learning. I really love how the program works. And I know you did it also, but I love how they focus so much on the primary food, which that's where I was not healthy. And, and that's the spirituality, relationships, finances, anything really that goes with on our inside our being, our mental state. And then the secondary food is everything on the plate, which I had that figured out, the greens to the legumes to the nuts. I mean, I had that set, as well as like the active fitness side. So I felt like that was strong, but I still wasn't able to break through. I wasn't able to maybe reach some sort of fitness goal or in my mind what I thought was a goal, but I didn't realize how much of that relied on the primary food, which was what was going on inside of me. I didn't realize how unhealthy I was.
That's the thing right there, is there's so many people that think just eating right and exercising makes them healthy. But it's, so you're referring to that circle of life too. That circle of life, remember, it's all about balance in all these areas. And so we want those areas to be more balanced, whether it be home life, relationships, spirituality, work, just all these different areas. And we think, and so you can eat all the right foods, you can exercise like crazy and still be unhealthy.
Yep. And that's what it was. And I think that this experience through my divorce, I realized not only was my relationship with him completely imbalanced because we weren't putting each other first, we were putting everything else first. And I think that if we would have put each other first, we'd probably still be married right now, if you want me to be honest. So, I mean, that was deep. Woo! But I think also too, because we put our jobs first. And
you know what? I will tell you, I think a lot of young people think we need to work hard now so that we can,
So I think that if we would have put our I think jobs are obviously so important. That's where you are the most throughout the day, but I think that we still continue to put that first. But I mean, if there was like that balance, like you said, that circle of life, spirituality, even though we went to church, but I think when you're in your 20s and you're just young and you're still going out and you're still having fun, but now that I take a step back, I look at my jobs and I look at my spirituality and I look at my relationships. I think I'm able to I'm still trying to figure out the word balance. I'm a hypocrite if I tell you that I'm balanced, because I'm not, because I still try to put my finger in every single thing. But right now it's really starting to turn out where I'm really starting to realize where I'm still tilted in some spots and I want to equal it out. So I think that circumstance with him and through my divorce has allowed me to take a step back and reevaluate pretty much everything in my life, and relationships that were unhealthy and relationships that were toxic, where I've just kind of had to stiff arm them and take a step back. And then, business relationships and really just looking at my life as a scope. So really, I think that it was all there, and that's what all that emotion was. I wasn't able to accept all of it and piece it together. So really me going through school right now has been, you would think adding one more thing on my plate would be overwhelming, but really it's been so healing because one, it makes me sit. I have to sit down.
Yeah.
And I have to listen to these online courses, which you would think would be a nightmare. And if you don't know me, I'm super hyperactive and just can't sit still for 5 minutes. I want to always be doing. And it's helped me do that. And it's helped me breathe. And it's helped me really just heal. And it's ignited, Deanna, that energy in me and that light to want to help women even more so than I always have. I've known it's been down there. Almost 4 years ago, I've wanted to go to the health coaching school and do this. But I was just obviously everything that kind of happened. But now it's just no better time. So one, thank you. Like I told you last week for being like, Lindsay, just do it. Because there's no way I would have just done it then. So this past year I needed it more than ever. Not even as a distraction, something to actually bring me even more present in what was happening in my life so I could get right, so I could help others get right too.
Yeah. So tell them what's coming. What's coming?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm halfway certified right now. So it's funny because I feel like I've done this already for the past 10 years with Pure Barre.
And you have.
So it comes really easy. It doesn't pull energy from me. I actually receive a lot whenever I meet with women for an hour. So since March, actually, I've had 2 clients and they've been so incredible. And I think that they've given more to me probably than I've given to them. But, my birthday is the end of this month, August 30th. And I will be officially launching my holistic health coaching. And, it's kind of all wrapped into one. I have some fitness that I'll be putting in there as well. And then, of course, primary food, like I talked about, that's something that I really hone in on my sessions, but also too, what's on your plate as well, because I think that is just as important. But like you said, it's the balance. So my company's called Enough, which is just layered enough. I feel like we could have a whole podcast just about that.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel funny because we've probably used that word more in our lives as women than we think that we do. I'm not skinny enough, or I'm not rich enough, or I'm not happy enough, or enough, and we're never enough. But probably the past 3 years, every time my mom would hang up the phone with me, she would go, I love you, of course. But then she would go, you are enough. And I didn't believe her, Deanna. I really didn't. And this makes me get tears in my eyes because I didn't. I really didn't. And I was so embarrassed. And all of those words I was telling you that were anchored with my divorce. And she really just thought I was enough. and now like I do feel like I'm enough. I think with the relationships that I have like in my life now, and I've kind of weeded out relationships that don't make me feel like I'm enough, but we should feel like we're enough because we are, and you don't feel like you're enough in relationships, that's where you should reevaluate them. So this business is a new venture for me, and it's humbling because it's scary and I don't think I know all the ins and outs of it, but it's something that I'm like so excited about, and I want to give love on it, and I want it to grow really slowly and really root itself, so I'm able to really spend time with these women in each session, but I'm really excited about it. I'm nervous, but I'm like super excited because I feel that I have a lot to offer.
Oh, you have so much to offer. And I think you're right. I think every woman is like, I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I even remember what was it? A year and a half ago, going to Rachel Hollis's conference, and she was talking about what would be, if you got a tattoo, what would you get tattooed on you? I'm not getting a tattoo, but I'm 54. I know you got a tattoo. It looks beautiful on you. But my thought is, if I got something tattooed on my arm when I'm about, I don't know, 70 or 80, my arm's not as tight. It's not going to look so good. But
you don't think I thought about that? And I did it after the divorce, and that was like, it was pretty wild. But yeah, you're right. Keep going. Whatever.
But I thought I would have tattooed on me, you are enough, somewhere where I could see it every single day, because I think in life, and at 54, I feel very good about where I am. I have a lot of confidence, but there are some times when I still think, what am I trying to prove to the world? I just had a session with my counselor the other day. I'm like, wonder what drives me. So I think it's a constant learning process. And what you said earlier is you said, I'm not perfect. And heck, who is perfect, And I love the saying, everybody's using the saying in everything they're doing right now, progress over perfection. Yeah. But I love that because, and I used to think progress over perfection was these little stair steps, but it really isn't. I read a book called Everything is Figure Outable, and she has this graph where she shows what progress over perfection looks like, and it goes up, down, all around. It's just all over the place. And I think that is more to me like, oh yeah, that's it. Because I don't know that we'll ever have it all worked out. We try to be the best that we can be, and we share our experiences to help others. And my belief is that when God has said, okay, you've done your thing here, then it's like, I'm like where I'm supposed to be, like, then he's going to take me out there with him. That's just my beliefs, I don't know exactly, but I do know that we're always a work in progress, right? Trying to be better. And I think we should always strive to be better.
For sure. And I think just right now it's just difficult with Instagram. And I think just with us being obviously in the fitness background, we do strive for perfection. I feel that and what perfection's changed a lot for me just in the past 6 months, like what that actually means and the pressures that I put on myself. And I know that I'm the one putting the mic on and teaching my clients at Pure Barre, or I own a bathing suit line on the side, and if I'm wearing my suit, I want to be able to take a picture in it. So I think that social media is a beast of its own, and I think that shows us what quote unquote perfection can be like. So I think us just kind of following like our own little path and realizing what your enough is. Like, what is enough? Like, what makes you feel like you're enough? Maybe it's someone telling you that you love, or it's doing something that makes you happy, or basically it's looking in the mirror and being like, you are enough. It's telling yourself that every single day. So I think, and that just depends on what faith you have. You and I both, believe the big guy upstairs. So I think that that's where that comes from initially, but we just have to accept it, Deanna. And that's what I was not doing for a really long time, is my walls were built up so high. I wasn't able to accept anything. I wasn't able to accept love. I wasn't able to accept my faith. I wasn't even able to accept like myself. So that's another beautiful thing that came from my brokenness, like through this difficult time these past couple years, is that like I'm soft now. Like I'm almost like, I feel like I'm back to myself, who's like a vulnerable person that can cry on the top of a hat, but like I accept that I'm not enough. But like then I look in the mirror and I'm like, you're enough today. So it's a really cool thing when I was coming up with the name of it. And then I had where I've just been writing down words or just certain scriptures. And then that word just kept coming up. And I was like, why am I resisting this? Like, why am I resisting this? This is the name of it. And this is what I want it to be. And my mom was just like so thrilled, because that's literally what she told me through the hardest times of my divorce, or not even just the divorce, the time leading up to it. So like 3 years, she would literally say it every single time. She even bought me a ring that says it. So, I'm not going to lie, Deanna, my next tattoo might say that.
I like that. Like I said, if I could figure out somewhere on my body, I might, maybe we'll get tattoos together.
Oh my God, for sure. But I mean, I got this one at the worst spot. My grandmother's arm, I got it underneath my arm. Yeah, right on my elbow. And I'm like, right when I'm angry, and my elbow is hanging down on my rib cage, we'll see where this tattoo is going to be.
Oh my gosh. Well, we could talk on, and I'm going to have you back on, but let's tell everybody where they can find you on Instagram, and tell them your website. And then, because this is going to release right around the time that you launch and everything.
Oh yeah. You mean the podcast? Yeah. Well, my Instagram handle is just at LINCP. It's LinCP. And then the website is enough- is that a hyphen?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay, enough-wellness.com.
Okay.
So
are you on Facebook?
No, not yet. Not with Enough. Oh, I am personally. Yeah, Lindsay Peirce. So I'm not going to have an Enough Instagram. I'm just going to kind of combine all of them together. So, but yeah, enough-wellness.com. And right there right now, it just is a temporary little coming soon. But on there is where you can actually email me. You can go and you can email me, your information if it's something you'd be interested in, just in hearing information. I have a couple different options on how this health coaching thing's going to go. And, I'm really excited about it. So anyone that would be interested in just in talking, that's kind of what health coaching is. And because you did it, Deanna. And I think that there's so many different avenues that I'm excited to be taking with the women that I'm working with and that I'm currently working with, so we kind of really hit all the realms to create that balance, like you said. So it's, I've been working with them since March. So I have another 6 months with them, and I'm like super excited about it. So yeah, I'm working on a 6-month program with women.
Yeah. So. And I'll tell you, to me, the 6-month program is the best program, because you can go through a little bit of life. Some people think 6 months, that's a long time. Believe it or not, 6 months flies by. And I still work with a client. We've been working together over a year. So I think a coach is somebody who's right there beside you along the way. We don't give you answers. We kind of help you find those answers for yourself and cheer you along the way, encourage you.
Yeah, because it's so bad. People are like, health coach, what is that? I'm like, I don't even know, really. But I guess if you just think about what a coach does, a coach is on the sidelines and they're like rooting on like their team or their players. So that's kind of what it is. I think it's all the basis of finding the right fit for someone that you're comfortable with. I mean, hell, you could be my health coach. We could probably, you know what I mean? Like, it's just someone that you feel comfortable with, that inspires you a little bit and that you trust. And I think that's the biggest thing.
And to me, it's almost like a life coach.
Oh, no. Totally.
That's what I say to somebody. They'll go like a health coach. I go, well, I'm the life coach, health coach. I mean, it's just like because it's all one.
I think it's all in the same. I just feel like my background has really given me like a sturdy foundation to kind of move forward with this. To be really excited about it. Like I said, I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm only nervous because I'm humbled by it. Because I think anything that you start new, I mean, I'm 35. The end of this month, I'll be 36, which is wild. But I'm like, starting something new at this point just seems crazy. But I feel really good about it. I'm really excited.
I'm so excited to see where this goes to, because I definitely think
I think that you're just excited that I'm out of the black hole. Let's be honest.
I am, but I'm excited to see where this is going to take you, because I really do think that we keep reinventing ourselves and pushing ourselves out of our box. And I remember when I first started Well and Worthy Life when I was in my 50s, and to think that, it started off as a blog, then I became a health coach, then a faster weight coach, then now a podcaster. And I'm like, it just keeps evolving. So anyway, well, Lindsay, thank you again. I can't wait to see. We'll definitely have you back on. And
it was so good talking to you. I love you.
Oh, I love you. You guys, listen. Okay, here's what I want you to do. If you love this podcast, like I know you're going to, so make sure and share it with all your friends. make sure and tag me, Well and Worthy Life, and tag Lindsay. What is it again, Lindsay?
So LINCP, Lynn CP.
Okay. So, and share it with anybody that you know that could benefit.
Yeah, for sure.
You can get in touch with Lindsay. We're going to have everything in the show notes. And hey, while you're there, go ahead and rate the podcast, review the podcast, and subscribe, because that's the way we get more people to listen to this podcast, y'all. I really appreciate it. And you guys have an awesome day.
Yeah.
You are enough.
Oh, you are enough.
Hey.